Hi, my name's Daniel. I want to share my experience of transforming my life by embracing the principles of TMS. I'm going to start off with a big thank you to Dr. Sarno and Steve Ozanich because their works have played a enormous part in this change for me. Here's my background. So I would have put myself, still do actually, in the top few percent of people in terms of what I do to care for myself. Work out 4 times a week, walk 13,000 steps a day, lots of sunlight, grounding, very aware of like healthy products in my home, good supplementation, what I think is an exceptionally clean diet, high protein, well balanced, nothing processed, doing all the right stuff. And in many ways, I looked healthy. My numbers, my markers would be healthy. But I kept having major incidences, let's say, acute things that would crop up, and then a number of chronic things that would hang around for a very long time, which just didn't add up right. So I'm in the top few percent of what it feels like I'm doing, but I'm maybe only in the top 25 to 50% in terms of the true result I was getting. And I was searching for a long time for what the issue was. And I stayed focused on the practical, like the physical. Maybe there's something in my diet, one little tweak somewhere that's going to have the big knock-on impact. Couldn't find it. And then I started to wonder, well, am I just into health and focus on it, or am I obsessed by it? And I'm sure obsession is not a good thing. Maybe the brain's having an impact on the body. So I started to play with that for a while as well. Can I become more relaxed about health? And I still didn't get the right result, but I felt like I was onto something. And my specific issues, standout ones, were, past tense, were complex regional pain syndrome, CRPS. If you don't know what it is, it's quite rare. Look it up. It's freaking horrible. It's known as being the highest pain thing that a human can experience outside of torture, let's say. And I had it intermittently, kept coming and going, which is ultimately chronic. And I knew a lot about it because one of my kids used to have it. I also had an issue where from running 5 half marathons, 5 days on the run, 14 years ago, I ended up with osteoarthritis in my big toes, supposedly. Couldn't run anymore, constant pain in my feet, kind of massaged them every day, work around it. A bunch of other small ailments. Lots of things that just weren't right, and really bad seasonal allergies. I live in Austin. Austin has a reputation for Cedar Fever, hay fever, horrible allergies, and I would be streaming like so bad for months on end. I would look sick, like really, really ill. Those were all the things that were going on for me that I was struggling to address physically. A story for another day is I came across Dr. Sarno's teachings. I read The Mind-Body Prescription. Don't know why that was the book I chose out of all of his books. It just felt like the right one. I read it. I got 2/3 of the way in and wondered why every single page was being written about me. He specifically talked about CRPS. I was having these acute bouts of CRPS in my ankle. It would blow up out of nowhere, writhing around in agony, crying, horrific. It calmed down over a few days, go away. Could come back in a week, a month. There was nothing obvious setting it off. Sometimes it was an incident, sometimes it just happened. No one could make any sense of it. I was told, having had some x-rays and MRIs, well, you sprained your ankle a lot when you were younger, you can see lots of scar tissue. Oh, well, that makes sense. Plus, remember, it's hereditary and one of your kids has had it. Maybe they were just unlucky and got it first. It's now coming out in you. All very believable, beautifully perpetuating the problem. So I'm reading Mind-Body Prescription by Dr. Sarno, and I'm thinking, I just don't buy it. Not the Mind-Body Prescription stuff, not TMS, but I don't buy my diagnosis. I'm going to call bullshit on this. And I'm sat there, and I'm looking down at myself thinking, I'm in great shape. I look after myself really, really well. CRPS is an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune tends to actually mean circulation not working properly in some shape or form. TMS, the one physical thing that Sarno always found, is that where your TMS symptoms were, there would be a slight lack of oxygen in the area. I'm thinking, that makes sense. That's kind of what autoimmune is. You're not getting oxygen through the correct flow of a number of things in your system to the right place. It just makes sense. And when you read the books and you're sort of thinking about the idea that we could all have buried rage, this idea that we all have trauma, rage, thoughts, upset, usually from childhood, but it can be from adulthood as well, that is in our unconscious mind. And it's important we know the difference. Conscious is the voice you do talk to in your head. And by the way, we all have voices in our head. If you don't have one, I would call someone. That doesn't sound good. So you should have a voice in your head. That's your conscious. That's the conversations that you have. Unconscious is buried. It's the stuff deep down that leads to our beliefs and our programming and so on. And I sat with that and thought, I can imagine all sorts of possibilities. My parents split up when I was 17. I was an only child. We've got all sorts of weird things going on. I was a bit overweight as a kid. And I could build a list that was huge of possible things that could have caused upset, trauma, rage, problems as a child. Not because they were correct, but just how I perceived things. And perception is reality. That could have played a part. Now, I didn't do any therapy at that point. I didn't do anything to sort of say, I wonder what's going on for me. What might I have buried inside me? I just thought, I buy the principles and I don't buy my diagnosis on my ankle. And I was having a good day with it. It set off a few days earlier. It was calming. I was 2 or 3 days from maybe going back in the gym and working hard like I normally do. And I looked down at my ankle. I was like, I reckon I'm good. Then I thought, I'm going to test this. I'm going to go in the gym. First thought was, I'll just take it easy. And I thought, no, hang on a minute. I'd also read in Mind Body Prescription that if you don't fully believe, so it's like, well, if I take it easy, I'm not fully believing, then it's not going to work because your brain is going to say, you still believe this is a real physical thing. And I can distract you with pain in a place that makes sense because of history and what doctors tell you, and you don't have to deal with the deep buried unconscious traumas in your life or from earlier in your life. That'll work. I even looked over at my desk and I had a lacrosse ball sat there for when I would do massaging on my feet and all sorts. I just thought, okay, if I'm going in the gym, I'm going in the gym. I went in the gym. I lifted the heaviest things I ever lift, went for it. Purposely chose leg exercises to really try and put strain on the ankle. And I was fine. And about 10 or 15 minutes in, there was a little twinge. And it was the twinge that used to mean, ankle CRPS is about to explode. You've got a few minutes. Get back into the house. Get some hot water. Get laid down because you're going to be screwed for a few days. And I looked down and I went, F off, out loud, directly at my ankle. And the pain vanished. Carried on working out. About 5 minutes later, it happened again. I looked at my ankle in the mirror during my workout, and I started laughing. I said, no, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate where you've given me this guidance and tried to help me in the past, but I've got this now. I'm good. It went away. I'm recording this just before April 2024. That was July, late June 23. I've been having this issue for a year, weeks in, weeks out, etc., etc. Been clear ever since. But a month later, I noticed I had this rash on my hip for about a decade. No one could ever work out what it was, couldn't get rid of it. It gone. I realized I had very slight, not major, but just annoying kind of heartburn reflux a lot of nights for a couple of years. Gone. Anybody else over the next few months in the house gets a bug, a cold, feels whatever, I'm always fine. Then I get to late 23. And I decided I wanted to read more on TMS because I was helping other people with it, helping friends, family, becoming more of a knowledgeable geek on this stuff, and thought, well, I want to really geek out and learn more. And someone introduced me to Steve Ozanich's work. I heard a great podcast where Joe Polish from the Genius Network had interviewed Steve. It's a fantastic 50-minute podcast on Spotify, really explains stuff very succinctly. I thought, I like Steve, I like his stuff. Let's go on Amazon, have a look. He's got a few books. One of them is 50 pages. The top 10 findings or learnings of Dr. Sarno. I'm thinking, well, 50 pages, top 10 will be succinct. That'll help me be more succinct. That's the one I'll read next. Start reading it. number 10, number 9, number 8, number 7. And I'm reading page after page after page, and it's still talking to me. And it was describing certain things that made me think about my toes, my 14-year-long issue. I'd had surgery on my big toes. I'd had plasma replacement therapy. I've done every physical thing that can be done, but never really got there. I'd actually accepted I'll never run ever again, and I'll suffer low-level pain, and I'll manage it, and I'll be okay. And basically reading 10, 9, 8, 7 was enough for me to go, I don't buy that diagnosis anymore. Why hadn't this already gone away, I thought. I know why, it's my longest lasting thing. I had it for 14 years. Everything else that had gone away was newer. So just logic, just my own theory says, if this has been hanging around the longest, it probably takes the most work to get rid of it. It didn't really. It just took a focus. I looked down at my toes and just thought, okay, they move, they work. There's not a true structural thing. Maybe they don't bend quite as far as they used to. I'm going outside. Slip my sneakers on, step outside, start walking, and I just thought, F it. And I ran. I explosively sprinted, having not sprinted for years. I was absolutely fine. I then look like an absolute nutcase because I'm running down the street, laughing, like, absolutely like beside myself. I run into the house. Mel, I said to my wife, you're not going to believe it. What? I'm running again. What? Fixed my toes. Gone. No issue ever since. Months has passed. I run every single day now. Once in blue moon, I'll feel a twinge. I look down and go, I'm good, thanks. The twinge is either an old habit or it's actually a little clue to me to say, anything going on? Let me just dig a bit deeper. Dig into my unconscious a little bit, see what's going on. Sometimes I find something. Basically, the toes are good. The very next morning, I woke up streaming like 4 a.m. with seasonal allergies, absolutely exploding. And I thought, oh no, is it that time of year again? Oh, I can't. Wait a minute. And out loud, I didn't mean to wake my wife up, and went, no way, I'm not buying that. It immediately calmed down. Over the next few weeks, the allergies kept coming and going. I couldn't quite get on top of it. I thought I need more help. I had a Zoom call with Steve Ozanich, 2 hours. He's freaking awesome. Helped guide me further, took me more steps through my story, and actually said to me, be careful, you're becoming obsessed by TMS. So you want to focus on it without obsessing over it. So I immediately stopped reading anything. I was a lot of books in, a lot of videos. I just took a pause and relaxed. I did do some therapy, did some self-therapy, taking some of Steve's and Dr. Sarno's ideas, just around stuff that you can do on a daily basis in a relaxed way, because many of us that are what's referred to as type T can get too obsessive. So approaching it in a relaxed way is good. And at some point, maybe 2 months later, I suddenly realized I'd had no allergy symptoms for about 3 or 4 weeks. It took about a month, and they just kind of cleared. And then a couple of times since then, in the next couple of months, they popped back up for a day or so. And I just check, am I meditating like I normally do? Do I need to go inside a bit? Am I a bit stressed by something? What's been going on the last few days? I do a little bit of work. I find maybe the source of something, and I feel peaceful. And my life is transformed. I am the oldest I've ever been today. I'm also the fittest, healthiest, happiest, and most balanced I've ever been. I have the biggest dreams and goals I've ever had. Yet I'm also more presently in the now. Steve recommended I read Power of Now, which if I'd read it a year earlier wouldn't have worked for me, but it was the right time to read it. That's been so powerful for me. I am not religious, but I'm very spiritual. Especially lately, become so much more spiritual. And the deeper I get into here, down here, back here, my unconscious, the more it's all becoming one. And I have so much peace around my past, so much peace around the future. I have these big, exciting dreams for the future, and yet I have peace right now. Along the way, I've helped a number of other people cure things. I had a conversation for 2.5 hours with a friend about the TMS principles in my journey. His debilitating migraines are gone, not had it since. When I told my wife the story, she listened to the podcast that I mentioned earlier with Steve and Joe Polish. And after one walk out listening to that podcast, came back with her tennis elbow gone. She's going like this, like a crazy person, fixed. I have a number of other examples of people that have completely transformed their physical health by believing in the principles. So here's my top line, bottom line summary. Acute things happen. They're usually real. You broke your arm, it hurts, it's supposed to, it needs to be in plaster. A few weeks later, it's going to heal. Great. Your arm hurts a year later, that's chronic, and there's probably no good reason for it as far as physical things. And don't let any doctor look at the x-ray or whatever else and say, well, there's scar tissue and there's this, that, the other. 90-something, maybe 99, maybe 100% of the time, it'll be bullshit, and there's no real issue there. Your brain is going, right, there's all sorts of buried trauma and rage and upset in your unconscious. This will be an easy way to distract you. If I put pain where you broke your arm a year or two ago, you'll believe it. It will make sense. Why would you question that? And all the doctors will support it too. Call bullshit on that. And either there and then, or within a few weeks, if you need to do some more deeper work on it, it'll clear. I think almost anything chronic is TMS. Now, does it mean don't eat healthy, don't live healthy, eat utter crap? No. That would be asking for trouble. Why would you do that? So, of course, look after your life. Do the basic things. Exercise, move, get sunlight, eat healthy foods. I'm not going to be contentious and say what I think is healthy and what isn't. Do the right stuff, but unobsessively, just healthily. Sure, it's probably better to sit upright in a chair and not a crappy chair where you kind of like this. Probably helps. But sitting like this for a bit doesn't cause back problems. It used to for me, not anymore. If I'm not in this perfect upright chair, that's fine. Do I think actually it's better if I do long term? It probably helps. Yeah, sure. But if I sit in a shitty chair for one day or lie on a too soft bed or too hard bed or whatever else, I'm fine. Used to have problems, not anymore. Our human bodies are very resilient, very strong and powerful, and also super flexible and so on. They're good, unless back here says not. Just don't fall for it. Read the books, watch the videos, have a Zoom consult with Steve Ozanich, open your mind to the possibilities, and be really careful with one thing. If I'm right, and 99% of chronic things are TMS based, watch out when you try and convince yourself you're the 1%, that you're different, because you're probably not. And if you don't buy it all yet, it's because you don't really want to. And my question to you would be, what is your pain getting for you? What are the benefits to it? Why are you creating these things? They're bringing you something good. I used to have a sinus and throat problems years ago, and a great therapist said to me, what's it getting for you? I'm like, oh, it's bad, and it's this. No, she went, no. Tell me the good things. Well, nothing. No, come on, try harder, Daniel. Well, actually, it gets me attention, and I didn't have enough attention as a kid, maybe, or felt like I didn't, or whatever else. And it gets me sympathy, and it gets me time off work because I get to lay in bed and I'm actually stressed. All these possibilities. Guess what? Sinus condition cleared up. That was 15 years ago. I didn't really get it. I didn't make the bigger connection to what that was. Now I do. So if you see a barrier here, if you stop yourself, it's you stopping yourself. And there's a lot of people out there can help you. And I would happily be one of them. Life can be like you would dream of it being. It's an amazing thing. Thank you for listening. Big love to all. Take care.